Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Persian and the Cowboy Overtime, where we break down the NFL games and give us our predictions and our feedback. And of course, we got some hot takes out there for everyone as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to the Persian to give us his initial thoughts on this last weekend's games.
Yeah, Cowboy, I'm very excited for this new podcast that we're doing that's strictly about the NFL and our weekly NFL predictions and analysis and hot takes, the Persian, the Cowboy Overtime. Congratulations to you. This is wonderful, and to us as a whole. Let me just start out by saying prayers up to our guy, Nick Chubb in Cleveland.
Holy cow.
My God. So if people didn't watch this game last night, I was flipping between that game and the Panthers-Saints game. But Nick Chubb was just going up the middle on a rushing play, and he had his leg snapped from the knee down. That is, I don't know what you think, but I think that's a career-ending injury right there.
It's at least season-ending. The knee is not supposed to bend that way. I don't know. The surgeons these days can do some miracles happen. So
Yes,
hopefully it's just a clean tendon break, and they just already had him go through surgery and stitch back up. But I don't know, man. It looks sketch.
It was so gruesome last night that ESPN, and you got to tip your cap to ESPN for not showing that replay because it was so gruesome.
I think as a society we've gotten soft.
Yeah,
I think we can
soft,
take
but
it.
that was out of respect for the player and the family and the organization. You don't want to show that because that was really gruesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I can take a few good looks at that. I have been watching it over and over again. But that was just insane. That was insane. I mean, it was a rushing play that was a very simple play, but it turned out to be, it was just, he was bent awkwardly, and the force and the motion of him going down and the leg just getting caught and snapping like that was just horrendous. So prayers up to Nick Chubb. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery and he'll be back next season. But that was just gruesome. You got to feel for the people of Cleveland.
Yeah, just bad right there. I mean, Cleveland had a ton of injuries happen in that game, so it's just crazy to see what's going to happen. All across their defensive line too. People were dropping like flies going out, so it's going to be interesting the rest of the season for Cleveland. Their defense looks legit. Their offense still has a lot of question marks.
Well, it starts at the quarterback position with Deshaun Watson. I mean, first off, you have a guy that has 20-plus allegations of sexual harassment, sexual assault. Some of them are probably not true, but if you have 20-plus allegations, some of them have to be true. And the guy has a definite problem, and the Haslam family that owns the Cleveland Browns, they took a chance on him, paying him quite a bit of money. And this guy...
Well, not to mention the picks they gave up, too.
Yeah, they signed and picked him up, and they did whatever, but... Cleveland as a whole, do you want a guy like Deshaun Watson with the baggage that he has off the field to lead your franchise? Cleveland is getting the right pieces done on defense. Offense, they have weapons. They got weapons in Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, speedy recovery for him, David Njoku, the tight end. But at the end of the day, I don't think Deshaun Watson's the answer in Cleveland. So we have to see what happens. They might have to draft a quarterback. They might have to make a trade. Maybe get a guy like Kirk Cousins from Minnesota if he's available as a free agent, or maybe you could trade for him, or they can draft in the offseason for a quarterback, but we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah, he just kept throwing up a lot of balls, like downfield shots that I thought were downfield shots that turned out to be like 5-6 yards out of bounds.
Yeah, he was overthrowing a lot of guys. He was very inaccurate. He's not very confident in the pocket. I mean, he's a scrambling quarterback, but he just doesn't have that oomph. Maybe being away from the game for almost a year last year, he was suspended for quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
Maybe that really threw him off. Maybe that kind of mess with his game. But again, the Cleveland Browns, I think, are going to become the real deal in the future. Their defense is very solid, but again, that injury last night was a huge blow for them. I had picked the Browns to win 30-23 last night. That didn't happen for your Pittsburgh Steelers. It's very ironic. He's the Cowboy. You would think he's a Cowboys fan, but he's actually a diehard Steelers fan. So
yeah, family's from Pittsburgh, so
So how did you do last night with your picks? Who did you pick in the game?
Oh man, I think I went 2 of 2 for our picks. I picked the Saints to come out on top, and then that turned out to be a weird one. He started out super slow, defensive battle back and forth, and then all of a sudden the Saints turned on the offense and got the whole thing cooking. Chris Olave saved my fantasy week that night. Got that going. And then, got the Steelers pick correct. I had a feeling it was going to be a back and forth struggle. I did not realize the Steelers offense would look that bad again. But fortunately, the defense came through and outscored the offense. 2 touchdowns from the defense.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Don't you have the Steelers defense on your fantasy team, or did you drop them?
I do have the Steelers defense. They bailed me out last night in one of my other leagues. It was definitely good to see. Cowboy, I'm going to do this. Last night, I was 1 of 2 in my picks. I was correct about my Saints-Panthers matchup. I had predicted that the Panthers were going to win. I had predicted that the Saints were going to win 27-19. It turned out to be less than that, but the Saints still won. They're 2-0. And then my pick with the Steelers and Browns game didn't happen. But let's take a gander here. Let's take a gander and talk about what we saw in week 2. Who are your pretenders and who are your surprises? Your top 5 pretenders and your top 5 surprises to this point.
All right. I'm going to start with a pretender. Someone that I thought I kind of got after their win in week 1. I got on the bandwagon a little bit and thought, maybe they do have something right there. I think the Detroit Lions have proved that they are a pretender out there.
Oh, wow. Detroit. That was a hell of a game. What was it, 37-31 Seattle in overtime? But that was a hell of a ball game.
Although I am picking Seattle to go pretty far in the playoffs this year. So
you are.
I think the Detroit defense is not going to be able to do what they did to Mahomes again. I think that's just a fluke week 1 kind of occurrence. They're going to be giving up a lot of points, and it's going to be on Goff to try to keep up in a lot of those shootouts that they're going to see.
Okay, so Cowboy, you got at number 5, you got the Lions as a pretender.
Yeah, number 5.
Who's your 4th pretender on your list?
My 4th pretender, I'm going to go with I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a backlash there. I don't think Dak Prescott's going to be able to keep it up.
The Cowboys are 2-0 and they're dominating right now.
I know. They're going to slide, man. They're going to slide.
Okay, so the Cowboys are your pretender. Who's number 3 on the list?
On the pretenders list? Let me see. I'm going to go, let me think about who's, I'm going to give it to the Cincinnati Bengals as them being a pretender of a shitty team right now. I can't believe they're 0-2 right now. It doesn't make sense. That roster's too good to be where they're at in that case.
Something's going on in Cincinnati for sure. And I'm gonna when we go to me, I'm gonna definitely break it down for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going Cincinnati as number 3. Mm-hmm. Who's number 2 on your list?
Number 2 on my list of pretenders out there. I'm gonna go with, let me think about this for a second. Catching me on the spot here.
You could do, how about this? Instead of pretender, we'll make it a disappointing category. So number 5, you got the Lions. Number 4, who was your guys at number 4? Remind me.
Yeah, it was Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas.
Well, that's not a disappointing
Not disappointing,
yeah.
But he hates the Cowboys.
I hate the Cowboys.
We'll put it in there at number 4. Number 3, you said Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I was kind of disappointed at how the 49ers played this last week after they dominated the Steelers so well.
So you're going with the Niners as your number 2 disappointing team? They're 2-0.
I know. I'm going to say for this week.
For this week. Okay, so for this week. We're doing it this week.
It was kind of surprising.
Their defense looked a little lackluster.
Yeah.
They did not dominate the Rams because that was a very neck-and-neck game. The Rams kind of had it going.
Yeah.
The Niners had to come back.
The Rams' offense is not supposed to be what it was.
And they're surprising a lot of people.
Yeah, they looked a lot better this week. So, 49ers, I was kind of, especially after the domination that they put on the Steelers, I was really hoping the Steelers just ran into the best team in the league, and that's why our offense looks so shitty that week.
Oh, yeah.
But now, after the Rams put up all those points, that's kind of a crazy thing right there. So.
Well, a lot of people, the Rams have 15 rookies starting this year.
Damn.
They have they went all in 2 years ago for that Super Bowl run and basically gave up a bunch of draft picks. Mm-hmm. They were up to their ass in cap. So, they had to restructure a lot of deals. They had to cut a lot of players. They had to let a lot of players walk. But it's very surprising that the Rams are actually putting up a fight. They surprised everybody in week 1 by beating the Seahawks in Seattle, and this week actually putting up a fight against a division rival of the 49ers.
Yeah.
So, who's your number 1?
The New England Patriots.
Yeah, New England.
They look like shit. They on both sides of the ball, just mediocrity over the entire.
Well, they were losing
thing,
17-3 for the majority of the game, and then they came back. but there is a disconnect on defense. They're blowing coverages. Structurally, they're not sound on defense. Offensively, Mac Jones is not the answer, but he's showing a lot of promise. But I think the Belichick era is coming to an end in New England.
Yeah,
it's time to move forward.
They don't have many good weapons. The O-line struggles. The D-line doesn't seem to be getting any push into the offense. It's craziness on both sides. They just don't seem like they're that well of a coach team at this point in time.
It just shows that Tom Brady was the reason for the success with the Patriots and also the Patriots defense for the first 3 Super Bowls on that dynasty run they had. But Brady, a lot of people, said Brady. It wasn't him. It was Belichick. It actually was Brady. It just shows right now.
I actually crunched the numbers during that era, and I was super curious about it because I'm like, okay, how can they sustain all the success over the years for it, right? And so I did the math, and I was like, okay, you know what? The Jets have been garbage the entire time Brady was in New England. Early 2000s, whatever. They had a couple of years that were okay.
Dolphins, too.
Dolphins were trash, and the Bills were trash. Those 3 teams were absolute horseshit for most of the time that Tom Brady was there. So I did the math. Has there been any other team that had an easier divisional matchup, as in like based on wins and losses, right? Out of all other teams, right? Which other team had a easier record in their division than the New England Patriots?
Well, I think that if you look in time, kind of before our time and into our childhood, you look at the San Francisco 49ers of the 1980s and the early 90s, they had a very shitty division for a long time. And that was before realignment. They had the Falcons in their division, the Saints in their division. They had the Rams in their division too, and the Rams were somewhat of a fight for them in the part of the 80s and early 90s, but the Niners dominated that division. It was just a cakewalk for them.
So for the same time period that Tom Brady was in New England, there's only one team that had an easier divisional matchup overall in the record division, right? So like, which team had a better record?
Was it AFC or NFC?
It was an NFC team.
NFC? Okay. Are we talking north, south, east, west? What are we talking about?
I'll give you
Give me a clue.
NFC West.
49ers?
No.
Seahawks.
The Seahawks had the easiest matchup.
Yeah, they dominated that division.
On their divisional rivals' records between this era of Tom Brady being in New England. The second easiest record was the New England Patriots. They had the easiest time because the Jets, the Miami Dolphins, and the Bills were all shit during that time period. But then the Seattle had an easier time because the Rams and the 49ers and Arizona was
Arizona was horrible for a long time. And they had that one run for a couple of years. They made the playoffs with Kurt Warner. But no, that's a good statistical fact, actually. And Cowboy, I'm going to give you my top 5 most disappointing teams until this point, post week 2. At number 5, I'm going to agree with you, the Detroit Lions. I am a believer in the Motor City. I'm a believer in Roar Lions Roar, but they completely shit the bed against the Seahawks. It was a very good game, high-scoring game, as I had predicted, but it ended up in overtime. The Seahawks won 37-31. It was very difficult to watch at times. The Lions had a lot of defensive breakdowns. Jared Goff had played well for most of the game, made some mistakes here and there, but the Seahawks are back in business after having a very lackluster week 1 against the Rams. I'm going to go the Detroit Lions at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to say, even though I don't like this team, I'm going to go the Denver Broncos at number 4. The Broncos are 0-2, and it looks like Russell Wilson has improved. And as a Raiders fan, I hate the Denver Broncos, but Russell Wilson has improved under Sean Payton's new leadership.
Put up a lot of points
They put up a lot of points. The Broncos were struggling on offense for about a year. It looked like against the Raiders, same situation. They lost 17-16. It looks like they had a lot of offensive breakdowns. They were not converting. This game, they were down. They were ahead 21-3 against the Commanders. Commanders came back. And then at the end of the game, Russell Wilson threw up a Hail Mary when it was 35-27. It was tipped multiple times and caught in the end zone for a touchdown. They went for the 2-point conversion and failed. They lost 35-33. But the Denver Broncos, with all the hype, all the money that the Walton Penner family who bought in the Broncos, they have literally are trying to turn this around quickly. There was a lot of hype by NFL analysts about the Broncos this, the Broncos that. The Broncos are the same donkeys at 0-2. They're the fourth most disappointing team. At number 3.
I will say on that one, though, that freaking Denver's defense collapse, I did not see coming.
Denver's defense
they
was
had
lackluster.
An elite
they didn't do
defense
well
last year. That defense kept them in a lot of games last year, and Russell Wilson just threw it away. So it's crazy that.
But now it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson threw some touchdowns. He made some quality throws, great plays using his legs, but it didn't happen. At number 3, Cowboy, I'm going to go the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots this year, there was not a lot of expectation, but there was supposed to be a little bit of improvement from last year. They just look horrible defensively and offensively. Defensively, they're giving up key plays, a lot of structural breakdowns. Offensively, now that they have Bill O'Brien back as offensive coordinator, compared to last year where it was like a committee of coaches coaching the offense, it looks like the offense is slowly getting back on track, but they have no weapons. Mac Jones has no running back on his team. He doesn't have, Juju Smith-Schuster is there, but it's like Juju Smith-Schuster's old. He's had his time. He's coming to a close in his career in the next 2-3 years.
He's too interested in making TikToks.
Exactly. I mean, going from the Steelers, the Chiefs, and now the Patriots, 3 quality franchises, but they need more weapons. They need to get younger, and I think the New England Patriots, they're going to have to rebuild this team from the ground up. I think the Belichick era after the season will come to an end. It's a shame. He 2.5 decades of a dynasty, 6 Super Bowls, 3 other appearances in the Super Bowl, but everything
you think he
comes
retires?
to an end. I think they'll give him a retirement option. I don't think they'll fire him because he's just brought so much success to the Patriots organization.
Yeah.
They'll do like a retirement / firing. They'll force him to retire and bring a younger coach in there with some new era type philosophies. But New England at number 3. At number 2, I'm going to go with, in the NFC, I'm going to go with the New York Giants. Even though the New York Giants won their game against the Arizona Cardinals and came back, this team, man, I thought the New York Giants were going to be on all cylinders against the Cowboys. They got blown away. What was it, 40-0? And then against a shitty team like the Cardinals, they came from behind to win. It showed poise, but Saquon Barkley is hurt again.
Yeah.
This is why you don't pay your running backs, folks, because the running back position is very dangerous.
Yeah.
It is a position that these guys are going down left and right. Saquon's going to be out for the next few weeks. They're going to reevaluate it, but he has a high ankle sprain. That's the report, but it could change. So the New York Giants are already hurting at the running back position now. Their quarterback, Daniel Jones, I'm not sold on this guy. I don't know why he's making all this money. I'm not sold on him. And defensively, they don't look as good as they did last year. And Brian Dable, their head coach, looks like he's lost a couple steps. It looks like the success of last year got to his head. New York Giants, number 2. And at number 1, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers, who are now 0-2.
Forgot about them.
The Chargers are probably the team that gets the most praise every offseason. Analysts are like, this is a Super Bowl contender. This is a Super Bowl team. Newsflash. The San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers have been to 1 Super Bowl in their entire history, and they were decimated by the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl, okay? This is a team that every year they choke. They're professional choke artists. Every year they start well in a season, and then they taper down. And last year they played the Jaguars in the playoffs. They were ahead by quite a bit, and the Jaguars end up coming back and beating them by 20-plus points. Yeah. They need to make a head coaching change in Los Angeles right now with the Chargers. Brandon Staley, their head coach, you will be fired by midseason. If the Chargers end up being 2-5, 2-6, he's gone in the middle of the season. This is a team that they have a superstar quarterback in Justin Herbert. He just got paid quite a bit of money as an extension. They have Keenan Allen, who's an excellent wide receiver. They got Austin Eckler in the backfield. They also have Mike Williams, their other receiver. So at the end of the day, they're offensively stacked. Defensively, they have some quality talent on, with Joey Bosa. I mean, you got to be kidding me. The fact that they're letting all these points in against the Dolphins, that was a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
The Dolphins beat them. The Dolphins are an excellent football team. They're one of my, not most surprising, but they're definitely up there. But the Chargers, 0-2. 0-2, and the schedule's not going to get any easier. So let's see what happens with my number one most disappointing team.
Yeah. It's rough out there for the Charger fans, but they're used to having a tough time out that way.
They always have a tough time, but at least the Raiders have 3 Super Bowls on them, in their history, and have a better history than them, from the 70s, 80s, and early 2000s. But let me give you this, too. Who are your 5 most surprising teams?
Surprising teams. Oh, man. You go first. I got to think about this one for a second.
My most surprising teams right now, I'm going to go at number 5, the New Orleans Saints. I would think that the Saints, with Derek Carr coming in, they would have some struggles because he's learning a new system. But obviously, they're in one of the weakest divisions in football. And they have just started playing good defensive football. Dennis Allen has that team in sync on defense. He's a defensive coordinator at heart. But their offense has some question marks. Chris Olave is an excellent weapon. Michael Thomas is still around there, but he's not what he used to be with all the injuries he's had. The running back position is kind of a question mark. Jamal Williams is hurt right now. Alvin Kamara is coming off a suspension after this week in week 3. So the New Orleans Saints, I would think, we're going to be at least 1-1, but they are showing that they can maybe be a NFC South champion this year already with what they do. Derek Carr is already making clutch throws when it matters, unlike last year. He starts out slow, but he is making big plays offensively and some big key throws to extend his team, which normally he wouldn't with the Raiders. But the New Orleans Saints at number 5. At number 4, one of my most surprising teams, the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, I thought, would be 0-2 at this point in the season, would be one of the worst teams in the league. They are actually quite the opposite. Their offense is putting up points. Matthew Stafford looks poised in the pocket. They have some talent with their younger receivers. Cooper Kupp's not there right now. Their running game's a question mark, but they're doing what they can with their younger stars. Their defense put up a fight against the 49ers offense, and their defense held the 49ers offense very low scoring in the beginning of the game. They shook the tree. So I would say the Los Angeles Rams at number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go surprising in a most, surprising. At number 3, I'm going to have to say, you kind of caught me here, the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, I would probably say they are one of the most surprising teams. Even though they lost against the Atlanta Falcons, they only lost by a point. And Jordan Love, I thought, was going to be struggling early on in this year, taking over from Aaron Rodgers. He is quite the opposite. He actually looks better than when Aaron Rodgers did when he took over the job after Brett Favre. The Packers are actually in a very good position. I had sold them short. I didn't think the defense was going to be capable. I thought the offense was going to be lackluster. But, with their head coach LaFleur, who's an offensive-minded coach, I should have looked at that. But this Packer team, man, I think that they're actually going to be a potential wild card team now because of the way they've been playing. At number 2, I'm going to say this surprising in a bad way. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. What happened to the Bengals? What happened to Joe Burrow? Where's Jamar Chase? Where's T. Higgins? What happened to the defense? Where's Joe Mixon? Where's just what happened to the Cincinnati Bengals? I should have put them in the most surprising category, most disappointing teams, but I'm going to put them in the surprising category. This team is 0-2 right now. It's time to hit the panic button. And I just don't know what's going on with the Bengals. They have a tough schedule coming up. Joe Burrow just got paid 5 years, $275 million as an extension. That's a lot of money, and he deserves that money because he's a hell of a quarterback, but they are going through something. I don't know what's happening. But that calf muscle's aggravated injury is bothering him. So they may need to look at that. They need to sit him down for the next few weeks, have that heal. But the Bengals should hit the panic button right now because in the NFC North, with a surging Cleveland Browns team on defense That might change now offensively because of the Nick Chubb injury, but the Baltimore Ravens are hanging around. And the Steelers are the Steelers. You can't discount the Steelers. They have an excellent defense. Their offense is starting to pick up, even though they have Deontay Johnson's out. The running game's kind of a question mark. Najee Harris, this guy, if he's your fantasy option, please put him on the bench. He's not doing much. So we have to see what happens there. But at number 2 is the Cincinnati Bengals. And then for me, the number 1 team that's probably the most disappointing, I would say, is the I'm going to go Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I'm going to go Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs barely beat the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. They beat them 17-9. The Jaguars held Travis Kelce to only a few catches, and Travis Kelce is recovering from an injury, so you have to give him some credit there. The Chiefs have no passing game. They have no passing game. They have no receivers. They have no running game. The only good running back they have is Isaiah Pacheco, who's not like a full load bell cow back. They have no running game. Their defense finally got Chris Jones back. That was a huge boost. So their defense played a hell of a game last week. You have to give credit to the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo. But offensively, they're starting out very sluggish. Now, a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl, they also had a sluggish start. So this could be just a quick thing. They might get fixed by week 4 or 5. There's a lot of football left, but probably the Kansas City Chiefs are my most disappointing team right now, because I would think coming off a Super Bowl, they'll be on all cylinders, but they are not the same team.
Yeah, Mahomes just doesn't have any weapons.
He doesn't have any weapons.
He is the offense.
Cardavius, what's that guy's name? Cardavius Toney.
Yeah.
That guy, he drops balls all the time. Even though he caught a few passes last week, he cannot catch. You have the other kid, Rice. He's young. He's going to learn over time. You have Sky Moore, who's becoming a primary target now for Patrick Mahomes, and then you also have Travis Kelce, who's coming back from that knee injury. So it could take some time, but the Chiefs are not the same high-powered Chiefs that we saw from last year.
Yeah, it's
kind of where it stands. Cowboy, you want to do your picks for this week?
I will go through my top 3 surprising teams.
Let's do your top 3 surprising.
I'm not going to give it 5.
I skipped you. Let's do the top 3. Let's go.
So surprising teams, I'm going to agree on the Chargers shocking me out of nowhere. The hype's always huge on them, those guys, and then they just come out and
surprising, disappointing. So disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing, surprising. I'm just going to go with whatever you feel that is right there. That, and then surprising again, number 2, the Denver Broncos. I did not see that coming. I thought they'd have an elite defense, and the question was going to be, can they get Russell Wilson back to where he was before? And it seems like it's complete flip. Russ seems to be back throwing Hail Marys out there, and then the defense is just a wide open turnstile, just letting people run right through them. So that is a huge shock to me. But the number 1 most surprising team for me, based on preseason expectations and what I'm seeing right now, my Pittsburgh Steelers, and that offense right there. It looks bad. Our offensive line was supposed to be revamped and hyped up.
No holes for the running backs to run through.
No holes. They're getting, pass rush is getting penetration like crazy. Kenny's trying to dance all over the place. It looks bad up front on the offensive line. The defensive line, they're banged up. I'll give them a pass on that. No Cam Hayward. Okay, understandable. But man, that offense scares the hell out of me. There are too many weapons out there that should be making plays, and they're not making plays. Kenny Pickett is not looking sharp. He's not looking like the guy right now, which is deeply concerning based off of how he played in the preseason, just picking apart defenses left and right. Maybe he can't read more complex disguised defenses. I don't really know what's going on. Deontay Johnson's hurt, but I always thought he was one of the most overrated wide receivers in football. He can get open, but he's not getting yards after the catch. He's kind of one little bump and he's falling down to the ground there. So I'm scared.
Pittsburgh's
for the Steelers.
Offense really concerns me. Their defense is never a question. Their offense is a problem, and they have weapons. Deontay Johnson, they have Najee Harris, Kenny Pickett, their quarterback, has the potential to become an elite quarterback, but he needs time. Their offensive line sucks.
It looks bad right now.
They can't protect him. He's always running around,
Yeah.
and they're not opening up holes for their running game.
The Raiders-Steelers will be interesting next week.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we're going to get into. Great segment, Cowboy. Great transition. All right, here are our Week 3 picks. Cowboy, Thursday Night Football right here in our own backyard in Santa Clara, California. The San Francisco 49ers take on the New York Giants. Cowboy, your pick.
It's probably going to be a slaughter. I think the Niners defense is going to pick things back up and look like they did against the Steelers. I'm going to go 28-12 on that one.
49ers. All right.
Yeah,
I'm going to
49ers.
go 49ers 34, Giants 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
All right. Indianapolis at Baltimore. Who do you got?
Indianapolis at Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to continue that win streak and extend it out. I think, that the Ravens at home are going to take that one. A little bit closer. I'm going to go, 26-21.
All right. Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for the Colts, the rookie, he is questionable for this game because he had a concussion after last week. So that's a problem. I'm going to say Baltimore 31, Indianapolis 17 there. And then the Titans, touchdown Titans, the Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns next week.
Titans got the win this last week.
Thank you to the Tennessee Titans for beating the Chargers. That was very nice.
that was a surprise. So you know what? The Titans, Titans are at home on this one?
Titans are on the road.
On the road in Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to trust the Browns to be the Browns and blow this one. I mean, they don't have Nick Chubb. They're going to come back from all these injuries. They're probably a little down after the loss to the Steelers. I think they're going to Browns it up. And the Titans, I think they're going to pull through and just stay consistent, go under the radar. I like the Titans at, 21-17.
I'm going to agree with you there. I'm going to go Titans 24, Browns 17. So I'm going to agree with you there. Titans win that game.
Yeah, Browns offensive struggles continue.
The Falcons traveling to the Motor City to Detroit.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one. I'm gonna go with the Falcons. I think they're gonna pull this one out. I think Detroit's gonna continue their collapse, and all the hype after they beat the Chiefs is just that. It's just week one hype when crazy things happen. So I'm gonna pick the Falcons. I think it's gonna be a bloodbath. Let's go 34-28 Falcons.
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you there, Cowboy. I'm all about the Lions in the NFC. I'm on the bandwagon with the Lions. I'm gonna say Lions 31, Falcons 17. There. Okay. The New Orleans Saints travel to Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I like the Saints in that one. I think your boy Derek Carr is going to keep the gravy train rolling, keep going the ball to Olave, and then they're going to keep scoring and putting up some points. I like another shootout in this one. Let's go Saints 33-28. Something high.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think that this beignet honeymoon in New Orleans with Derek Carr and the organization, they're going to get shook by the Packers. I'm going to go Packers 30, Saints 23. It's going to be a close game, but I'm going to say that the Packers win there. And then how about this one? What a head scratcher here. The Houston Texans travel to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, that's never a great game to watch.
I mean, I'll just take the home team in this situation. Not much faith in Houston right now. So I'm going to go Jacksonville 21-14, I think. Yeah.
21-14. I'm going to go Jacksonville 24, Texans 10.
Yeah.
In this. How about this one here? The Denver Broncos travel to the humidity of Miami to take on the Dolphins.
Now, this could be wild. And does Denver's defense come back and actually slow these guys down, or is Miami's offense just way too overpowering? I think Miami's offense is going to be too much, and I think Russ is too old to keep up with Tua and Tyreek Hill, man. I think high score, I'm going to go, 35-30 to Miami.
I'm going to agree with you. It's going to be a shootout, but I'm going to go Miami 41, Denver 27.
Damn. Okay.
It's going to be a shootout there. Dolphins are surging. The Los Angeles Chargers traveled to Noah's Ark. They traveled to U.S. Bank Stadium to take on the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh, I always like picking the Vikings to lose just because they're good at doing that. So I think the Chargers get their first win of the season this year. I think they're going to go out there. Bosa's going to show up and take Cousins down a little bit there. I think they're going to get the win on the road, get their first win. Not a super high scoring game. I'm going to go right around that 24 to 18 range. Chargers.
I'm gonna go this to the most. I forgot about the Vikings on that list. They're the battle of two 0-2 teams right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the Chargers. I agree with you. Will win this game. It'll be 38-31 Chargers. The following day, Kirk Cousins will be traded from the Vikings to the Jets because the New York Jets are so desperate right now. The Zach Wilson situation is not panning out because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. The Jets, Woody Johnson, will give Joe Douglas the authority to call the Minnesota Vikings and trade a first, second round pick to the Minnesota Vikings for Kirk Cousins, as the Vikings will be 0-3, and they're going to be looking to shake the tree.
That would just be so depressing for my fantasy team. Justin Jefferson, I don't think he's going to do as well with just any quarterback in there.
Oh, it's gonna be. I have a feeling it's gonna go down, but I have a feeling this game's gonna be very important for many reasons.
Cousins just feeds the ball to his top wide receiver, so yeah.
Yeah. So now the next game. Now they're talking about the Jets. The New England Patriots travel to MetLife to take on the New York Jets.
That's gonna be interesting.
Divisional rivalry.
I always like the Patriots to beat the Jets, and just put them in their place. But I think the Jets are going to win this one. The Patriots just look too bad, too inconsistent on offense. I don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points. I think this is going to be another one right around the 21-14 Jets.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to go New England 19, the Jets 16. Zach Wilson is not the answer for the Jets. The New York Jets are going to have to make a phone call to trade for a quarterback if they want to remain relevant. Their season is over if they don't have a quarterback to run this team. This team has too many weapons. They have Breece Hall at running back. I believe they have Dalvin Cook, too, at running back. They have Dalvin Cook. And then they also have Garrett Wilson at the wide receiver position. They have a lot of weapons in the passing game. They from Garrett Wilson to Alan Lazard, this team is ready to win now, and they have a championship caliber defense. If they can get a quarterback to be the general of this team and make a trade for one, now is the time. But the Jets will get Kirk Cousins after this week to become their quarterback. Some things are going to get shooken up, but it's going to be New England's victory that day, 19-16, in overtime.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I just don't like. I think Belichick's just knows how to beat the Jets.
He does, but I think that he'll figure it out. They'll win, but the Jets are going to make a move because they're going to be they're going to be 1-2, and their division is too stacked. They have to make a move. So the next game, the Bills at the Commanders. They travel to Washington.
Wow, I was pretty shocked with the Commanders win this last week. Brian Robinson looked pretty good, getting the 2 touchdowns, saving my fantasy week. Thank you so much. I'm thinking, Commanders are at home.
Commanders are at home.
Commanders are at home. I think the Bills are going to take that. I don't think the Commanders have enough pieces in play. Their offense is starting to connect and doing some good things out there, but I think the Bills defense will be smart enough to shut that down. So I'm going to put it into Josh Allen's hands and say, 28-18, Bills take that one on the road.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Buffalo, though. Buffalo 34, the Commanders 24. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit of a shootout there. And then the Carolina Panthers traveling to your favorite NFC team, the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, yeah. Carolina Panthers, I think they're pretenders this year. I think the Seahawks will take care of business at home, put up a bunch of points again. Geno Smith seems to be riding the line still, so I'm going to go Seahawks 34 to 24.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Seattle 30, Panthers 13.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be
big ass kicking.
Yeah, it's going to be good ass kicking. Speaking of ass kickings, the Dallas Cowboys travel to their former division rival, the Arizona Cardinals from back in the day.
Man, the Cowboys keep getting lucky with shitty opponents for the first few games of this season. So I think the Cowboys are going to take it. I don't think it's going to be close again. I'm going to go 30-15. Cowboys pull this one off.
I'm gonna go Cowboys 38, Cardinals 14 in this one. It's gonna be an ass kicking there, and then another ass kicking in the works. The Kansas City Chiefs the Chicago Bears traveling to the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Chicago Bears to Kansas City. Yeah, the Bears, they don't know what they're doing. They do not have the answer at quarterback. It's going to be a struggle right there. But Mahomes with Kelsey back, I think it's going to be the Mahomes show again. But yeah, Chiefs pull this one off 28-13.
I'm going to go Kansas City 31, Chicago 17.
Okay.
So we agree there. And then the game that you and I have a situation coming up, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah, this is going to be a telling one. This is going to be a telling one for both of our teams right here. So I'm hoping that the Steelers just ran into the two best defenses in the league with the San Francisco 49ers and the Cleveland Browns. But I'm concerned that our offense is going to have all kinds of struggle. I think it's going to be a close game, Steelers versus Raiders. I have no idea if it's going to be a high-scoring or a low-scoring endeavor. I'm going to go with a low-scoring game. I'm going to say Steelers pull this one off 21-18.
I'm going to go with this. I obviously disagree with you there, but I'm going to go the Raiders 27, the Steelers 24 in regulation.
All right.
So it's going to come down to a field goal. Daniel Carlson.
We about agree on how many points the Steelers are going to score, but yeah.
So the Eagles and Buccaneers, who do you got? That's the Monday night game. There's two Monday night games, actually, again. Two doubleheaders.
Buccaneers at home or?
Eagles traveling to the Buccaneers.
Eagles traveling to the Buccaneers. I think the Eagles will take that one. The Tampa Bay is still searching for answers on offense. And, yeah, I think the Eagles will have that one, no problem. Let's go 32-18.
I think Tampa Bay is also a very surprising team. I didn't mention them. They're 2-0. They are playing well with Baker Mayfield, but I think at the end of the day, Philly, NFC champion, coming to your house, it's going to be Philadelphia 31, Tampa Bay 21.
Okay.
So that's where it's at. And then the final game, the Los Angeles Rams travel to the desperate Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, man. The Rams, yeah, and they put up a good showing already this against the 49ers. I would love it if Cincinnati started out 0-3. And so I'm gonna go with it. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm gonna say the Rams pull it off. Let's say 24-21 in a close battle. Cincinnati's offense still struggles out there. Let's hope for it happening.
Cowboy, I hate to ruin your parade, but the Bengals will be back. I'm gonna go Cincinnati 30, the Rams 16.
All right.
So cool. Those are the picks that we got, and we'll upload these picks, folks, to the page. But Cowboy, any final thoughts about this week?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to the Steelers-Raiders game. Do we have any wagers going on?
I think we'll have to come up with that. I think maybe a bottle of choice would be a good wager.
I think that's a good one, yeah.
A bottle of Angel's Envy or a 12-pack of some fine IPA beers for your boy over here.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good. Folks, we thank you for your time. We're in week 3 now. I can't believe 2 weeks of football are gone, but you guys have a great day, and thank you so much.
God bless. Cheers.